everybody. This is Tell Me Everything. If you guys like original music, talks about activism, talks about finding your career or your dreams, subscribe to my channel, give me a thumbs up. Today, I'm so excited. We are joined by the one and only Abigail Busam, my sister. And she is not only a professional massage therapist, but she's also the co-founder and the co-owner of, is it Aura, O-R-A?
Yes,
Or
Aura Beauty and Wellness Studio.
perfect. And of course, I'm going to put everything on the links onto YouTube. But can you go ahead and tell everybody what? I know that you don't have any like active websites or anything yet, but I know that's in the works. But go ahead and tell everybody what are some products you offer, what are some things you do, that kind of stuff.
We do spa services such as massage, facials, and waxing. And we are currently going to offer certain number of our actual facial products that we use.
Ooh, guys, I've been wanting a facial for a long time, so that's probably going to happen. So I have to start this session today with a funny story about Abby, because it's really funny, but two, because she's my little sister and it was my fault, kind of. So I was going to start the interview by asking you about your childhood, but I know everything about your childhood because I'm a brother. But when we were little, there was a story that we had, and it's actually really terrible, but she bounced back, so she's fine. But we were playing with a crowbar in our backyard, and of course I was being my fabulous self, and I took the crowbar and threw it up in the air like a baton and wanted it to land on the ground with the sharp side down, and of course it did. But Ab, why don't you go ahead and tell everybody what happened after I walked away carelessly and left it on the ground?
Well, what I remember is you went and put it back where it was, and where you had found it, and the observant person that I am was like, my big brother can do it, so I can do it too. So I went and found the crowbar, said crowbar.
Oh no.
Brought it back in front of all the neighborhood kids and all the siblings and said that I could be a baton twirler too. Only the baton, said crowbar, did not land point down in the ground like yours did.
No.
It landed point down in my skull.
Oh, so bad.
And an emergency room trip and a questionable CPS conversation, and 11 stitches later, I was fine, and it's just a memory now.
Yes, but you forgot to mention my favorite part, the very cute and stylish 3 prongs of hair that you had sticking up after they had to shave around the area where you had to get the stitches. Yes. So yes. That was my favorite part. Other than Crowbar Incidents, tell everybody what kind of childhood did you have?
Well, we grew up with 6 siblings, so there's always someone to talk to, always someone to hang out with, and then always someone to fight with.
That's true.
Lots of camaraderie and discussion training, if you
will. So I guess my first question for you was, how did you find massage therapy? Like when did you realize that you wanted to be a massage therapist? That's the correct term, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Licensed massage therapist, massage therapist. It is not masseuse. Some people get really offended.
Well, you sound so fancy, masseuse. It's like how I probably say it very uneducatedly is masseuse, but it's really masseur.
Yeah, but that's a very different meaning. That's a European massage therapist.
Oh my! Oh, ladies and gentlemen, my sister.
There's Michigan laws here.
I'm a person. So licensed massage therapist. When did you realize that's what you wanted to do?
It actually took me quite a while to get to that place. Growing up with 6 siblings, I didn't have the dream of going away to a university and getting my schooling, because that would have been a lot of work to figure out how to pay for that.
Yeah.
And so I accepted that early on, and that led me to get a job right out of high school, and that first job was at a physical therapy clinic as like just an assistant, an aide, and I learned so much there.
Okay.
And was encouraged so much by the therapists there. They would pull me into a room and teach me this, this, and that, and that's kind of where my fascination with body work kind of little by little awakened.
Okay.
They encouraged me, well, why don't you go to school for it? And again, that instinct of, well, how could I ever afford therapy school, a physical therapy school? That's
Right.
like so many years, so much money,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really not what I wanted to do. So another therapist had suggested, well, why don't you try massage therapy? That's along the same lines, and it's doing a different type of body work. So that encouraged me to go to massage school.
Okay.
24 by the time I went to school, so well past age of people who normally just go right out of high school, through school, get their degree, and went through school, absolutely loved it.
Good.
Such a different dynamic than the medical side of things that I had been learning and was used to. And from there, got my state license.
Okay.
And then stayed at the therapy place for a while, and circumstances happened and something pushed me to quit there and just focus on massage. Found myself at a spa, then found myself finding a partner to start a business with, so it just kind of snowballed after that.
That's amazing. Okay, so wait, let's go back because I'm so curious. So when you were first at the physical therapy place, like you said, that was like the first job, like that was kind of relatively around those things. What were some things that you had to do? I don't know anything about physical therapy, but I want to know, like, when you were pulled into a room where you're this, what are some weird things? Tell us. People want to know.
Well, patient confidentiality, no names being said.
We're professionals.
You see a lot of body, that's for sure.
I like it.
Body types, a lot of different body things that happen. A lot of wounds. That's really something to see, a really pussy wound. I mean,
wow.
Put me out, but
hey, we don't get grossed out here.
But then you got to also see really cool things like young kids who got injured in sports learning their own body. And so that sparked my interest and gratification of seeing recovery and seeing healing process and learning. Because most people don't know that.
No, and that's so funny you bring that up because that makes me think of another question. Like, how working there and then seeing that, like, what was the most interesting thing about, because I think that a lot of people go through their life without paying attention to their body, or like, I hate to say this, but like, I feel like a lot of people just go through life abusing their bodies, like trying to make it look the way that you want it to look, dieting, exercise, all sorts of things, like beauty standards all across the board, that we don't really pay attention to, like, oh, I should be more in tune and listen to my body to know like what's wrong, what's right, how to be better. What were some big things or some surprising things that you learned working there, or like you said, seeing with other patients?
It's funny that question comes up because I've just been thinking about this recently. It was something that was so second nature to me to understand the healing process, and it takes time for things to happen. And until I actually dealt with a shoulder issue a little while ago, and it brought me to remind myself, you know how this goes. You're rushing something that takes time, and there's what we always used to say at the therapy clinic was, just because your shoulder hurts doesn't mean that the shoulder is the problem.
Yeah.
That hurts doesn't mean that your neck is the problem. It could be coming from a shift in energies from somewhere else, or a compensation. Your knee could be tweaked and throw off your neck. Like, it's a whole vibration of energy field that you're working with, not just my neck hurts, fix it.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
and that, I think that's why what led me away from physical therapy was so many people had the wrong idea of their bodies. When a doctor will send you, hey, here, go see this person, they'll help your shoulder. Well,
For
we
sure.
have the biggest thing that we that I was taught there was it's the whole body. Look at the whole body.
Yeah.
And though this person may think it's just my shoulder, my doctor said, it's really your whole body.
That's
So
crazy.
having my shoulder issue reminded me of that and encouraged me to take a step back and realign myself. So
Yeah.
it's a constant everyday thing to remind yourself a whole alignment, not just this or that.
That's really crazy too, because I think it's really a metaphor for life too, because so many times when there's a problem in your life and it erupts, the first thing you do, or the first thing I feel like I did for a long time, was you look at that isolated incident as the problem or what's causing the problem, and you don't realize that like all these other things in your life or all these other incidences built up to that one thing happening, which led to like all these other realizations. So that's really interesting, because you like you're saying, like in your body something could be wrong, and obviously it'll work its way to a certain area in your body that makes you realize, oh, I have pain here, my shoulder hurts, but no one ever thinks like, oh, my shoulder hurts, what's wrong with the rest of my body that's making that happen? So that's really cool insight that like you can think about. Like your advice to people sometimes would be like, if you have an issue with your body, don't look directly at where it's located. Like look at like what you're doing in your life, like how you're lifting things, moving, and like blah blah, and that's interesting. It's really cool.
Stress tension, all of it.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah.
Body.
So you mentioned that you went from there to getting your license in school and then doing your like seeking out, like starting your own business. So I guess I have two questions here. What was schooling like to become a licensed massage therapist? And then how did that kind of integrate into you wanting your own business? And were they similar? Kind of like.
Yeah, actually the school that I went to actually was super informative business wise, because the owner of that school also owned a very prominent spa wellness center.
Very cool.
She used to be a CEO in a big corporation company, and she had a spiritual awakening, went to Hawaii, learned Lomi Lomi, which is a type of massage.
Wow.
A spiritual type of massage, and it awakened her to learn everything she could about massage and body wellness.
I love that.
It led her to open her own business, and that always intrigued me, but it was always like in the back of my head, I could never do that. And that in that inadequate voice in your head says, you can't do that, you don't have to do that. But it was always in the back of my mind. And when recently I had a business partner who had a lot more experience than I did, she approached me and said, you do have the ability. You have all this experience and you are smart enough, and we could do this because two are better than one.
Right.
You don't know, I know, and what I don't know, you know. So it kind of worked out to have that benefit of that business partner. But back to schooling. In school, the actual techniques and everything came very natural to me.
Okay.
But I had known a lot about the body because of my job that I worked at the.
Oh, right.
So in some ways, I was teaching therapists who had been massage therapists for 20 years who didn't see certain things because they didn't have the medical side, the medical view perspective that I did. And I was actually told afterwards by two instructors, like, we were so intimidated by you because you came in with all this confidence and all this knowledge. And we're just over here trying to teach these people like what's next in their life, and you're in here gung-ho like, yeah, let's learn, let's do this.
I
And
love that.
looking back, that was 7-8 years ago, looking back on that experience, realizing how much I didn't know still.
Oh yeah.
Someone was telling me that I did know, and then with all the 10 over a decade now of experience, knowing still, I know I don't know what I don't know. I
Right.
know what I don't know what I don't know. So there's always learning everywhere, even out of school.
Yeah. Well, that's so great too, because I mean, you touched on so many beautiful points there. One being that, like, all of us, myself included, we never give ourselves enough credit to like go after something because it either seems too big or too, um, too expensive, or we're not smart enough or intelligent enough. And you had to realize, like, through all these things that you learned, it's like, no, I want to do this thing. I'm being pursued by somebody who has the ability to help me do this thing. But the initial journey, the beginning of that journey is like doubt and like, can I do this, and all those things. And those are all natural things. And then the other really cool thing that you said was that it's like two conflicting ideas, but they go hand in hand, is that we do know a lot more than we think we do. And whether that's like instincts, or because you had all that experience in the clinic, that you had just developed all that, like, I'm sure, bedside manner and just seeing a lot of cases over time and all those things. And then to kind of like go with that is the idea that while we do know a lot more than we think, we also can always continue to learn. We're always searching for more information because that's what makes us better. I don't think I know any professional that is like working in a professional that's like, oh, I'm good, I don't need to learn anything else, I got this, I'm solid. Because that's just a reflection too of time. Because with time, things change over time and things get different and more evolved. And so that's really cool. My next question would be, what is it like in a typical day for a massage therapist? Like, what is a typical day for you? I want the people to know.
Well, in the words of Spitz or Squints from The Sandlot,
Oh yeah, yeah,
lotioning, oiling, lotioning. I can't take it anymore. Pretty much sums up my day. But no, it's a lot of listening,
yeah. Okay.
a lot of compassion.
I love that.
It's a lot of growth in yourself and encouraging growth in others, and a lot of oil. A lot of soap and water.
A lot of oil, a lot of soap and water, a lot of compassion. It sounds very kind of erotic to me. No, that's really beautiful. Because did you think going into it that you would realize just how much like listening and compassion and sympathy goes into something like that? Because I love what you said about, like, you need that, but then you also give that too, you know. Do you feel like you've come out of this being like beginning your business and being a licensed massage therapist, that you are a more compassionate and sympathetic person, a more kind person?
Absolutely. And, on top of that, other life experiences that, they awaken you.
Mm-hmm.
And they also awaken you in your vocation
Mm-hmm.
and tell you that this is what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And it just confirms that. And so earlier I was going to say, follow the encouragement, not the negativity, because the encouragement is what actually gives you the momentum to move forward. The negativity is what keeps you stuck in stillness.
Preach.
So, yeah. So, no, I never thought that I would be giving as much of myself as I am. But it's funny because there'll be moments, even in the middle of a massage, and I'll think of a memory from when I was younger, and it's like, oh, this has led me to this place.
Yeah.
And then it's just confirmation when all those little pieces start coming back to you, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm doing it right. I'm supposed to.
I'm good. I'm good.
I have a memory when I was like 8 years old, in the library with a few friends, telling myself we were talking about careers, and they said, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be that, and I'm like, I'm gonna be a psychologist or a therapist.
Uh-huh.
I didn't know at the time I was gonna be both. I was gonna
Yeah.
be a massage therapist, but also someone who listens and encourages that person to be a better person.
Yeah, I love that. I love everything about that because I feel the same way in so many ways. And, you know, I think that what we all want as artists and as people that are like successful and just wanting to do good in the world, I think that I know for me, and it sounds like from you and a lot of other people, like our greatest goal is to serve our community, like is to help people around us, lift them up. We're all in this world together. We're all struggling together. We're all winning together. And so it sounds like you knew that from an early, age, but then it's like now you found yourself in the perfect world and how the world aligned you to get there.
Yeah.
And so that kind of brings me to my next question is, I think as artists, we are convicted and we're moved by different causes. And I mean, I didn't even have to explain that to hear that from you talking this whole conversation. It's like, you're moved to like want to listen to people. You're moved to want to help people. You're moved to want to like, inspire them and empower them. And so those are all the same things that move me. Where do you find, as an artist, as a massage therapist, as somebody who wants to do good in the world, where do you find your power lies in massage therapy, and what motivates you to do it?
My power definitely comes from believing in God and a higher power, and believing that He gave me an intuition of just how to feel
Yeah.
and feel and touch. So my motivation for that is it's just, I know that people can be better.
Yeah.
Something inside of me that says you can be better. You just need the right encouragement and the right guidance and the push.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what He's made me to do, and he's led me to this vocation for that exact purpose.
I love that.
Be driven and motivated.
I love that. Well, it's like, yeah, no, that's so beautiful, because it's like, not only do you know your purpose, but you know that God's calling you to do this, and by following that out, like doing what God's called you to do, you benefit from that. You feel good about doing that. You feel all of that reward from all your patients and all the people that you work with. I just love that. That makes me so happy, both as your brother and just as a person. But and then I guess my last question for you today would be, we've talked about this all the time. We talk on the phone all the time about like Reiki and meditation and yoga, all these things that have such a big role in my life. And so, because yoga and meditation have, in the last few years have taken such a good role in my life, and I really rely on them to, stay whole and stay well-rounded. I love to ask people, especially my guests, what is love and light to you? Like for me, in a yoga session, when it's coming to close, I always find myself thinking about all the beautiful things, whether it's like that I have in my day, or the people that are in my life, or good things that like motivate me. What is love and light for you?
That would definitely have to be energy. Energy is love and light. Because, and I touched on it earlier, your whole body is a field, a force field of energy. And when there's certain stuckness that is giving you trouble, that's where the energy is trying to move through, and it's trying to work itself through. And having that thought as I work is always a positive outcome.
Yeah.
And prayer, and praying that for that movement and that energy, that stuckness. Because when I do that and I see that open up, that's when the beauty, that's when the love, and that's when the light, and that's when the smiles come out.
Yeah.
So moving energy. I always think to myself that I'm working in a master's of energy movement, a master's in movement.
I
So that's
love that.
that's what it is for me.
That's beautiful. Okay, before we say goodbye, what you have said, I love that you're my sister because I'm so proud of you. And I love to tell everybody that like you've said all these beautiful things. And you've said so many great things about just motivating ourselves to do better and to go after bigger and scarier things in life because we deserve it. And I love that. That's the reason why I'm doing this. That's the reason why I'm an artist. If you could tell everybody that's listening to this one, really powerful, inspirational, motivational thing that you've learned in your life, whether it's just in your personal life or in, your artistry as a massage therapist, what is something that you would like tell them?
Don't be afraid to fail, because
Mm.
behind your failure or underneath your failure is where your heart's desire is waiting to be found.
Yeah, no, for sure. I love that. Wait, say that again. I love that.
Don't be afraid to fail, because behind and underneath your failure and your fear is where your truest heart's desire is waiting to be found.
I love that. I love that. Well, and that's true, because I think underneath the fear of failure is like we're waiting to like do something and we're scared to do it. And so once you fail, or you fail a couple of times, that fear kind of falls away, and then you're like a little kid that can run in a field. You're like, oh, that's not as scary as I thought. I'm gonna have to mess up a couple of times to get good at this. And I love that. I like that visual too. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I love you so much. I'm so proud of you. Before we go, tell everybody remind us of the name of the business and everything, and then where people can go to get more information.
It is Aura, ORA, Beauty and Wellness Studio, and you can visit experience-ora.com when we are up and running.
Love it. All right. That was fantastic. I love you so much. So proud of you.
Bye.